The Galactic Council of Elders had kept peace across 17 parts of space for over 8,000 years. Their wisdom was never questioned. Their decisions always followed. When humans first built ships that could travel faster than light and began to move beyond their solar system, the Elders watched them carefully from far away. The great meeting hall of the Elders was quiet as Ambassador Xylith walked to the center platform. The curved walls displayed moving pictures of Earth and the new human colonies. 53 Elders sat in a half circle, their skin colors ranging from deep blue to pale green. Their large eyes followed Xylith as she prepared to give her report. Honored Elders, Xylith began, her voice clear in the silent room. Humans continue to expand at a rate faster than any species we have seen before. They have settled on 3 new planets this cycle alone. Elder Voth leaned forward, the oldest and most respected of the council. His skin had faded to a light blue with age, and the pattern of spots across his head showed his high rank. "Tell us of their ways," he said. "Do they still fight among themselves?" Xylith touched a control on her wrist, and the images on the wall changed to show human history. Wars, battles, but also healing, building, and creating. They do fight, but less than before. Their world government has stood for 70 years now. But when threatened, they respond with greater force than needed. They do not back down. They do not surrender. They meet force with more force until they win. Murmurs spread through the council. Elder Mappa stood, her red robes marking her as the head of defense. "I have studied their wars," she said. "They are the only known species that grew more unified through conflict rather than falling apart. When attacked, they band together. Their response to threats is not logical. Other species retreat from superior forces. Humans advance. They sacrifice themselves for victory." Elder Voth nodded slowly. "And yet they show kindness to their weak and help their sick. They create beautiful art and music. They are full of differences that should not exist together." The council talked for many days. Some wanted to welcome humans into the galactic community. Others feared them and wanted them contained in their small corner of space. In the end, Elder Voth made the final decision. "We have guided 112 species into our community. With each one, we showed ourselves when they were ready, helped them grow, taught them our ways. But humans are different. They advance too quickly. They do not need our help. Most concerning is their reaction to the unknown. They do not approach with caution but with readiness for both peace and war." He stood and looked at each elder in turn. "Therefore I set this law. We will watch humans from afar. We will study them. We will learn from them. But we will not show ourselves. We will not make contact. We will not confront them in any way. Any meeting between our peoples must come from them, not us, and only when they have grown past their warlike ways." And so the law was made. Watching stations were built near Earth and all human colonies, hidden by technology that bent light around them. Teams of observers took turns studying humans, learning their languages, monitoring their growth. Special care was taken so humans never knew they were being watched. Officer Kyla Rogers yawned as she checked the sensors on her patrol ship one more time. 6 months on the edge of human space was boring work. Nothing ever happened out here. The small ship called Stardust moved slowly along the border of the newest human colony. "Anything interesting, Alan?" she asked her navigator. Alan Willis shook his head. His brown hair needed a cut, and his uniform jacket was unbuttoned at the collar. Rules got loose on long patrols. "Same as yesterday and the day before that," he said. "Some space rocks. Empty space. More space rocks." Kyla laughed and sipped from her coffee cup. The bitter liquid had gone cold, but she drank it anyway. Only 2 more weeks until they could return to Earth for a break. She was planning to visit her parents in Ohio and maybe take a trip to the ocean. Real water and real sun would be nice, after so long in space. "I'm going to check the engine room," she said, standing up from her seat. "Keep an eye out for all that exciting empty space." "Yes, boss," Alan said with a smile. Neither of them noticed the small blip on the far edge of their sensor screen. A tiny error in the Eldarian watching ship's hiding system had made it partly visible for just 3 seconds. The human ship's computer noted it but did not alert the crew because it was so brief. On the Eldarian watching ship, junior observer Nazrak was worried. He looked at the warning light on his control panel again. The hiding system was having small problems. His supervisor had fallen sick, and Nazrak had been left alone to watch the humans. He should have called for a replacement, but he wanted to prove himself capable. Just a small problem, he told himself. I can fix it. He was young, for an Eldarian just 93 years old. His green skin still had the bright color of youth and the spots on his head were few, showing his low rank. This was his first assignment watching humans, and he was eager to do well. Nazrak checked the humans' patrol route again. They should turn back soon, heading away from his position. Then he could safely turn off the hiding system and make repairs. He just needed to wait a little longer. Inside the Stardust, Kyla returned to the bridge and sat down heavily in her chair. All good back there? Alan asked. Yes, engines are running fine. We're due to turn around in about 20 minutes. Then it's a straight path back to Outpost 7 for supplies before we head home. Alan nodded and adjusted their course slightly to avoid a small field of space rocks. As he did, the ship's sensors picked up another brief blip in the same position as before. This time, the computer alerted them. Sensor contact, Alan said, suddenly sitting up straight. Very faint, but it's there. Kyla leaned forward. Tiredness. Forgotten. Natural or artificial? Alan's fingers moved quickly over the controls. The computer thinks artificial. It's holding position. About 80,000 kilometers off our port side. Why didn't we see it before? It's barely there even now. Could be using some kind of stealth technology we haven't seen before. Kyla felt a chill run down her back. In all the years humans had been in space, they had never found signs of other intelligent life. Could this be first contact? Change course, she said. Let's take a closer look. Nazrak felt his heart beat faster as he watched the human ship change course. They were coming toward him. This was not supposed to happen. The hiding system was failing more often now, sending out small energy spikes that the humans could detect. He sent an emergency message to the nearest Eldarian base, but it would take at least 6 hours for help to arrive. The human ship would reach his position in just 20 minutes. Think, Nazrak, he said to himself. What would Supervisor Trell do? The right answer was to move away slowly, staying hidden as best he could. But if he turned on the engines too, the humans would surely see him. If he stayed, they might find him anyway. On the Stardust, Kyla Rogers watched the sensor readings with growing excitement. Whatever it is, it's not moving, she said. Alan, how close can we get before they notice us? Alan Willis checked the math on his screen. Hard to say. If they have good sensors, they already know we're coming. If not, we could get within a few thousand kilometers. Set up a message on all common channels, basic greeting, nothing that could seem like a threat. Alan nodded and started to work. Kyla contacted Outpost 7, the nearest human base. Outpost 7, this is UED patrol ship Stardust. We have detected an unknown object holding position at the edge of the Proxima colony zone. We are moving to investigate. Possible first contact situation. Please advise. The answer came back quickly. Stardust, this is Outpost 7. Maintain safe distance. Observe only. Do not approach within 10,000 kilometers until backup arrives. Admiral Holt has been notified. A science vessel is being prepped now. Kyla frowned. That was not what she wanted to hear. If they waited, whatever was out there might leave. Acknowledged, Outpost 7, she said. We will maintain safe distance. She turned off the comm and looked at Alan. We'll close to 15,000 kilometers. That's technically a safe distance. Alan grinned. Yes, ma'am. Nazrak was now in full panic. The human ship was still coming toward him. Worse, his sensors showed a much larger human ship preparing to leave their base. Soon he would be trapped between them. The hiding system warning, light began to flash red. It was about to fail completely. He had to make a choice, run and be seen, or stay and be found. He decided to try a third option. The watching ships were equipped with a small probe launcher. The probes were designed to look like natural space objects, He could launch one in the opposite direction and hope the humans would follow it instead of him. His shaking hands set up the probe. He aimed it away from human space and fired. On the Stardust, Alan called out, "Energy spike. They just launched. Something." Kyla was instantly alert. "Weapon? No. I don't think so. It's small, moving away from us. Could be a probe or a message drone." Kyla made a quick decision. "Stay on course for the main contact. Let's see who's out there." Nasrok saw that the humans were still coming. His plan had failed. The hiding system gave one last warning beep, then shut down completely. His ship was now visible to anyone looking in his direction. He did the only thing he could think of. He turned on the defensive shields and powered up the engines, ready to run. The Stardust sensors lit up like a holiday display. "Whoa!" Alan shouted. Something just appeared dead ahead. Big energy readings. They just turned on some kind of power system. Kyla leaned forward. "Are they powering weapons?" Alan studied the readings. "I can't tell. It's not like any system I've ever seen, but there's a lot of power building up." Kyla felt sweat on her forehead. This was supposed to be a simple patrol mission. Now she might be responsible for humanity's first contact with alien life, or its first interstellar war. "Open all channels," she ordered. "Let me speak." Alan nodded when the system was ready. "Unknown vessel, this is Officer Kyla Rogers of the United Earth Defense Force patrol ship, Stardust. We come in peace and wish to establish communication. Please respond." Nasrok heard the human voice coming through his communication system. The translator worked perfectly, converting their strange sounds into words he could understand. They wanted to talk. This was exactly what the elders had forbidden. He should run now, but his curiosity was too strong. These were humans, the mysterious, dangerous species he had studied for years but never expected to meet. And they didn't sound dangerous. They sounded friendly. Against his better judgment, he replied, "Human vessel, I am not supposed to speak with you." On the Stardust, Kyla and Alan looked at each other in amazement. The response was in perfect English with only a slight accent they couldn't place. "We have first contact," Kyla whispered. Then, more loudly, "We mean no harm. May we ask who you are and why you are near our colony?" There was a long pause before the answer came. "I am Junior Observer Nasrok of the Eldarian Watching Fleet. I am not supposed to be talking to you. It is against our oldest law." Kyla was about to reply when Alan suddenly shouted, "Energy spike, massive power buildup on his ship." Nasrok had made a terrible mistake. In his nervousness, he had touched the wrong control. Instead of turning down his shields to show peaceful intentions, he had activated the ship's defense system. A warning shot designed to disable approaching vessels was charging automatically. "No!" he cried, trying to shut it down. But the automated system was already firing. A pulse of energy left his ship, aimed at disabling the Stardust's engines. But Nasrok's aim was off. The pulse grazed the side of the human ship, tearing through its outer hull. The Stardust rocked violently. Alarm bells rang throughout the ship. Kyla was thrown from her chair, hitting her head on the control panel. Alan managed to stay at his post, frantically checking systems. Hull breach on deck 2, sealing emergency doors, main power down, switching to backup. Kyla pulled herself up, blood running from a cut on her forehead. "Weapons. Online, but no," Kyla said firmly. "No weapons, not yet. Try to contact them again." Alan looked at her like she was crazy. "They just shot at us. And if we shoot back, this becomes a war." "Try again." Alan reluctantly opened the channel. "Eldarian vessel, this is the Stardust. You have damaged our ship. We still wish to talk. Please respond." Nasrok was horrified by what he had done. The mistake that could not happen had happened. He had fired on humans. The Elder's worst fears would come true now. He had only one thought: run. He turned his ship away from the humans and activated the main drive, disappearing into deep space faster than the damaged Stardust could follow. The last thing he heard was the human voice, still calling for peace. On the Stardust, Kyla watched. The alien ship vanished from their sensors. "They're gone," Alan said. Kyla nodded, pressing a cloth to her bleeding head. Send everything we recorded to Outpost 7. All of it. The communications, sensor readings, everything. What do we do now? Kyla looked out at the stars where the alien ship had been. We go home and prepare. Humanity just learned we're not alone. And our new neighbors don't seem very friendly. Neither of them knew that across human space the response to their report would be swift and massive. The first contact had gone wrong in exactly the way the elders had feared. And now, nothing could stop what was coming next. News of the attack spread across human space faster than any ship could travel. Within hours, every colony and outpost was on high alert. Within days, warships were moving toward the border where the Stardust had been damaged. Admiral Frank Winters stood before the Emergency Council in Washington, D.C. The large room was filled with government leaders, military officers, and scientists. Screens on the walls showed the faces of colony governors joining from distant planets. The attack was unprovoked, Admiral Winters said. His voice was calm but firm. Officer Rogers tried to establish peaceful contact. The alien ship fired anyway. President Laura Davis leaned forward. Do we know anything about these? What did they call themselves? Eldarians, said Dr. Ben Howard, the lead scientist. We have the recording from the Stardust. The alien identified himself as Junior Observer Nazrock of the Eldarian Watching Fleet. Watching Fleet? Asked a colony governor from the screens. They've been watching us? For how long? No one had an answer for that question. What concerns me, Admiral Winters continued, is the phrase against our oldest law. These aliens have laws about us. They've been observing us without our knowledge, and now they've attacked one of our ships. President Davis looked around the room. Recommendations? Admiral Winters didn't hesitate. Full military mobilization. We need to secure our borders and prepare for further attacks. I agree with securing our borders, said Governor Kim from Mars Colony, but we should try to contact them again. Maybe this was a mistake. We tried contact, Admiral Winters said. They responded by shooting at us. After hours of debate, the decision was made. Humanity would prepare for war while trying to establish peaceful contact. Every ship would be armed. Civilian vessels would travel in protected convoys. Production of weapons and warships would increase, and a special task force would search for more alien watching stations. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Junior Observer Nazrock stood before the Eldarian Council. His green skin had turned pale with fear. Elder Voth looked down at him with ancient, tired eyes. Tell us again what happened, Elder Voth said. Nazrock explained how his hiding system had failed, how the humans had detected him, and how he had accidentally fired upon their ship. I panicked, he finished. I am sorry. Elder Mapa stood up, her red robes bright in the dim room. You have broken our oldest law. Contact with humans was forbidden for good reason. Now you have not only revealed our existence but attacked them as well. It was an accident, Nazrock said. That will not matter to the humans, said Ambassador Xylith. We have studied them for generations. When attacked, they respond with force. They will not believe it was an accident. They will prepare for war. The room was silent as the council members thought about what this meant. We must prepare as well, Elder Mapa said finally. Recall our watching ships. Increase our defenses. Ready the war fleet. Ambassador Xylith stood. No, that is exactly what we must not do. If we build up our forces, the humans will see it as proof of hostile intent. We should contact them, explain the mistake, offer to make peace. And if they attack anyway? Asked Elder Mapa. Then we will defend ourselves, Xylith replied. But we should not assume war is inevitable. Elder Voth listened to the debate with growing concern. For 8,000 years, the elders had maintained peace among many different species. Now, because of one mistake, that peace might end. We will do both, he said finally. Prepare our defenses, but also prepare a message of peace. We will watch the humans' response and decide our next actions based on what they do. 2 weeks later, Captain Susan Martinez sat in the command chair of the exploration ship North Star. The ship had been quickly fitted with new weapons and shields. What had been planned as a scientific mission was now a military one. "Status report," she said. Her second-in-command, Jack Howard, checked the screens. "All systems normal. We are approaching the coordinates where Officer Rogers reported the alien ship." Susan nodded. "Any sign of them?" "No, but our sensors are picking up some strange readings near Jupiter's orbit. It could be another hidden ship or station." Susan thought for a moment. Her orders were clear. Find the aliens. Attempt communication, but be ready to defend Earth if necessary. "Set course for Jupiter," she said. "But approach carefully. I don't want any surprises." As the North Star changed course, none of the crew knew they were being watched. 3 Eldarian ships, hidden by their advanced technology, tracked the human vessel's movement. "They're coming this way," said the Eldarian commander to his crew. "Toward Observation Station 7. "Should we warn the station to evacuate?" asked his second. The commander hesitated. His orders were to watch and report, not to interfere. But after what happened to junior observer Nazrok, he was taking no chances. "Yes, tell them to prepare for immediate evacuation. But they should destroy all research data first. We cannot let the humans learn how long we have been watching them." The warning came too late. The North Star arrived at Jupiter faster than the Eldarians expected. Captain Martinez ordered a careful scan of the area where the strange readings had been detected. "There's something there," Jack Howard reported. "Small station hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons. Very good hiding technology, but our new sensors can detect it." "Life signs?" Susan asked. "Yes, at least 10. Not human." Susan took a deep breath. This was it. Real proof that aliens had been watching humanity. She had to decide what to do next. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's try talking first." The Eldarian station commander received the human transmission with dread. They had been discovered. The evacuation ships were still hours away. "What should we do?" asked one of the scientists. The commander looked at the screens showing the heavily armed human ship. Fighting was not an option. Running was not possible. "We answer," he said. "And we tell the truth." Back on the North Star, Susan was surprised to receive a response so quickly. "Human vessel, this is Observation Station 7. We surrender. Please do not fire upon us. We mean no harm." Susan looked at Jack with raised eyebrows. "They're surrendering? Just like that?" Jack shrugged. "Maybe they know they can't win a fight." Susan thought about her orders. Attempt communication, gather information, avoid conflict if possible. Tell them we accept their surrender. We're sending over a team to board their station. If they cooperate, no one will be harmed. Within an hour, 12 Eldarian scientists were brought aboard the North Star as prisoners. The humans were careful but not cruel. The Eldarians were given food, water, and medical attention when needed. Susan looked at the aliens with a mixture of wonder and suspicion. They looked almost human, except for their colored skin and spotted heads. They seemed afraid, not dangerous. "I want to know everything," she told the Eldarian commander. "How long you've been watching us, why you were hiding, and most importantly, why your people attacked one of our ships." The commander lowered his head. The attack was a mistake. A terrible accident by an inexperienced observer who panicked. "We have been watching your species for over 200 years, ever since you began to use radio signals. We were forbidden to make contact because—" He stopped, unsure how to explain without causing offense. "Because what?" Susan pressed. "Because the elders feared your response. In all our history, we have never encountered a species like humans. You fight when threatened. You advance quickly. You are unpredictable. The elders believed contact would lead to war." Susan looked around at her armed crew, her militarized science vessel, the frightened alien prisoners. "Maybe the elders were right to worry," she said quietly. Back on Earth, the first pictures of the Eldarians were being shown to the public. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their first meeting with aliens had started with an attack. No one knew what would happen next, but everyone agreed. Nothing would ever be the same again. Dr. Olivia Parker had never expected to be the first human to deeply communicate with an alien species. As Earth's best language expert, she was quickly sent to the secure military base where the Eldarian prisoners were being held. The room was plain, with white walls and a simple table. 2 guards stood by the door. Across the table sat Myalik, the head scientist from the Eldarian observation station. His blue skin looked pale under the bright lights. "I'm not here to harm you," Olivia said as she sat down. "I want to understand what happened." Mylik looked at her with large, worried eyes. "You speak my language very well. We use the translation device from your station. Our scientists have been studying it." Mylik nodded slowly. "You learn quickly." This is what the elders feared. For several days, Olivia spent hours talking with Mylik and the other Eldarians. She learned about their society, their history, and most importantly, why they had been watching humans in secret. "We have guided many species into the galactic community," Mylik explained. "But your people were different. Your technology advanced faster than any species we had seen. And your history." "Our wars," Olivia said. "Yes, the elders studied your conflicts. They saw how humans respond to threats, not with caution, but with force. When attacked, you do not retreat. You advance. You adapt. You overcome. This is not normal behavior for intelligent beings." Olivia thought about this. "So the elders were afraid of us?" "Yes," Mylik admitted. "They created a law. No contact with humans until you had grown past your warlike ways. We would watch and wait." Olivia felt a mix of anger and understanding. "You've been spying on us for centuries, and you're surprised we reacted badly when we found out?" Mylik lowered his head. "The attack was truly an accident. Junior observer Nazrok panicked. He had never met aliens before, especially not humans. Meanwhile, across human space, the military buildup continued. Admiral Winters oversaw the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Weapons were being added to civilian ships. New defensive systems were being built around Earth and all colonies. President Davis met with her advisors in the White House. The mood was tense. "What have we learned from the Eldarians?" she asked. Dr. Howard showed pictures of the alien prisoners and played recordings of their interviews. They claim to be part of a large galactic community with many different species. They say they've been watching us for centuries because they feared our response to contact. Admiral Winters scoffed. "And then they attacked one of our ships? That doesn't seem very peaceful." "According to them, that was an accident, Doctor," Howard replied. "A young, inexperienced observer who panicked." "Do we believe them?" asked President Davis. Dr. Howard nodded. "Dr. Parker thinks they're telling the truth. Their technology is far beyond ours. If they wanted to attack us, they could have done much worse than damage one patrol ship." "What do they want now?" the president asked. "They want to explain the situation to their leaders, the elders. They believe this can be resolved peacefully." Admiral Winters leaned forward. "And what if they're lying? What if they're just stalling? While their fleet mobilizes?" No one had a good answer for that. Back on the North Star, still orbiting Jupiter, Captain Susan Martinez received new orders. She was to take one of the Eldarian prisoners as a guide and go find the main Eldarian watching base in their solar system. She chose Mylik, who had been the most cooperative. Dr. Parker came along to continue communications. "There is a main observation base on the far side of Neptune," Mylik explained as they traveled. "It coordinates all watching activities in your solar system." Susan looked at the alien with careful eyes. "And you're willing to lead us there? Won't your people see that as a betrayal?" Mylik's expression was hard to read. "The law has already been broken. Contact has happened. War may follow unless we find a better path. I believe showing good faith is our best chance for peace." Olivia studied Mylik as he spoke. She had spent enough time with him to recognize sincerity. "I think he's telling the truth," she told Susan privately. "The Eldarians really don't want war. They're afraid of us." Susan raised an eyebrow. "Afraid? Their technology is centuries ahead of ours?" It's not about technology, Olivia explained. They've been watching our history, our wars. They've seen how humans fight when threatened. According to Malik, no other species they've encountered responds to danger the way we do. What do you mean? Most intelligent species try to avoid conflict. When faced with a superior force, they retreat. But humans... Olivia paused, thinking about Earth's long history of warfare. When humans are attacked, they don't just defend. They innovate, adapt, and strike back harder. The Eldarians fear that quality. Susan thought about this as she looked out at the stars. So they hid from us because they were afraid we'd see them as a threat and attack? Yes. And now their worst fear has come true. They accidentally attacked us, and look at our response. Full military mobilization within days. When they reached Neptune, the North Star's improved sensors detected the hidden Eldarian base. It was much larger than the station at Jupiter, with about 50 Eldarians working inside. The base commander was shocked when Malik contacted him from the human ship. "You brought humans to our main base?" he asked in disbelief. "You have broken the sacred law." "The law is already broken," Malik replied calmly. "Now we must find a way forward. These humans wish to speak with the elders directly." The commander was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "The elders are already aware of the situation. They have been debating what to do. I will contact them immediately." While they waited, Susan had the North Star scan the Eldarian base thoroughly. What they found was surprising. "No weapons," she told Olivia. "Their shields are strong, but they have no offensive capabilities at all. This really is just an observation post." Olivia nodded. "Malik told me the Eldarians haven't fought a war in over 5,000 years. They've been at peace for so long they've almost forgotten how to fight." "Then why were they so afraid of us?" Susan asked. "If they're so advanced and peaceful, why hide?" "Because they saw something in us that scared them. Our potential for both creation and destruction. Our adaptability. Our willingness to fight against all odds." Before they could discuss further, the base commander contacted them again. "The elders wish to speak with you directly," he said. "This is unprecedented. No new species has ever spoken to the full council without years of preparation." Susan straightened her uniform. "We're ready." A large screen on the bridge came to life, showing a half-circle of elderly Eldarians with skin colors ranging from deep blue to pale green. Their leader, Elder Voth, spoke first. "Humans of Earth, this meeting should not be happening. Contact between our peoples was forbidden because we feared where it might lead. Now that fear may become reality." Susan stepped forward. "Elder Voth, we understand your people have been watching us for centuries. The attack on our ship was apparently an accident, but it has raised alarms throughout human space. We need to understand your intentions." Elder Voth's ancient eyes studied her. "Our intention was observation only. We have guided many species into the galactic community, but your people advanced differently. You fight when threatened. You do not retreat. This quality makes you dangerous and unpredictable. You could have contacted us peacefully," Susan said. "Instead, you spied on us." "Perhaps that was a mistake," Elder Voth admitted. "But it cannot be undone. The question now is what happens next. Will there be war between our peoples?" Susan looked at Olivia, then back at the screen. "That depends on you. We don't want war, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." "As will we," said Elder Voth. "But perhaps there is another way. Would your leaders be willing to meet with us, to discuss a peaceful path forward?" Susan nodded. "I believe they would. But trust has been broken before it could even be built. It will take time to establish." "Time we may not have," said Elder Voth. "Already misunderstandings grow on both sides. We must act quickly to prevent the worst outcome." As the North Star prepared to return to Earth with the news of contact with the Eldarian leadership, neither humans nor Eldarians knew that across the galaxy, forces were already in motion that would test both species in ways they never expected. Admiral Winters stood beside President Davis as the first official meeting between humans and Eldarians began. The large meeting room in the United Nations building in New York had been prepared with care. Human and Eldarian flags stood side by side. Screens around the room allowed people across Earth and the colonies to watch. Elder Voth arrived with 5 other elders and Ambassador Xylith. Their blue and green skin looked striking against their formal silver robes. Elder Voth moved, slowly, his great age showing in each careful step. "Welcome to Earth," said President Davis. "We hope this meeting leads to understanding between our peoples." Elder Voth bowed slightly. "For 8,000 years we have guided species into the galactic community. Never before have we broken our protocols like this. But these are unusual times." The formal talks began. The humans had many questions. How many alien species existed? How large was Eldarian space? What were their intentions toward humanity now that contact had happened? The Eldarians answered openly. There were 27 spacefaring species in the known galaxy. Eldarian territory covered 17 sectors of space, and they wanted peace with humans if possible. "For centuries, we watched your species," Elder Voth explained. His voice was translated through devices so everyone could understand. "We saw your wars, your struggles, your victories. We saw how quickly you advanced, and most of all, we saw your response to threats. You feared us," Admiral Winters said. "Yes," Elder Voth admitted. "Other species retreat when faced with superior force. Humans fight harder. You unite against outside threats. You adapt faster than any species we have encountered. These qualities made us cautious." In the observation room connected to the main meeting hall, Dr. Olivia Parker and Milik watched the proceedings. "Your people misunderstood us," Olivia said. "You saw our capacity for war but missed our desire for peace." Milik nodded. "The elders studied your conflicts. They saw how humans would fight to the last person rather than surrender. They watched your world wars, your Cold War, your regional conflicts. They feared what would happen if humans ever felt threatened by aliens. And now their fears have been tested," Olivia said. "An Eldarian ship fired on one of our patrol vessels and we responded with full military preparation." "Exactly as the elders predicted," Malik said sadly. "But we didn't attack," Olivia pointed out. "We captured your observation station, yes. But we treated your people well. We opened talks. Even Admiral Winters, who wanted to prepare for war, is sitting at the peace table now." Inside the main chamber, the discussions had turned to the future. "We propose a formal alliance," President Davis said. "Humanity wishes to join the galactic community as equals, not as subjects." Elder Voth looked surprised. Most new species go through centuries of guidance before full membership. "Humans are not most species," Admiral Winters said. His voice was firm, but not hostile. "We have proven we can advance on our own. We don't need guidance. We need respect. Ambassador." Xylith leaned toward Elder Voth and spoke quietly. The old elder listened, then slowly nodded. "Ambassador Xylith reminds me that our usual protocols have already been broken. Perhaps a new approach is needed for a unique situation." Elder Voth turned to President Davis. "We will consider your proposal. But first, there is the matter of Junior Observer Nazrock, who fired upon your ship." President Davis looked at Admiral Winters, then back to Elder Voth. "What do you propose? By our laws, he must be punished for breaking our oldest protocol. But we would hear your judgment first, as the injured party." The room was silent as the humans considered this. Finally, Admiral Winters spoke. "Bring him. Here. Let us hear his side directly." 2 days later, Junior Observer Nazrock stood before the human and Eldarian leaders. His green skin had grown even paler during his isolation. He looked terrified. Officer Kyla Rogers, now recovered from her injuries, sat watching. This was the alien who had fired on her ship, who had started everything. Nazrock spoke in a quiet voice. "I was afraid. I made a terrible mistake. I never meant to fire on your ship. I'm sorry for the pain I caused." Admiral Winters asked the question everyone wanted answered. "If you feared humans so much, why did you answer Officer Rogers when she hailed you? Why not just run?" Nazrock looked up, surprised by the question. Because she sounded friendly, not dangerous. I had studied humans for years, but never heard a human voice speaking to me directly. I was curious. Kyla Rogers stood up, suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. "May I speak?" she asked. When President Davis nodded, Kyla walked to stand before Nazrock. "You fired on my ship," she said. "You injured my crew. You started what could have been a war." Nazrock lowered his head. "Yes. But you also answered when I called. You broke your people's law because of curiosity, because you wanted to know us, not just watch us." She turned to face both the human and Eldarian leaders. "That's what makes this different from a real attack. There was no hate, just fear and a mistake. If we're going to build something better, we need to start with understanding, not punishment." President Davis looked at Kyla with new respect. "What do you suggest?" "Officer Rogers," Kyla thought for a moment. "Junior Observer Nazrock should work with us. Help us understand the galaxy we're entering, be a bridge between our peoples." Elder Voth's eyes widened. "You would trust him after what happened?" "Trust has to start somewhere," Kyla said. "And I think it should start with forgiveness." The talks continued for many more days. Agreements were drafted. Plans were made for cultural exchanges, trade discussions, and sharing of some technologies. The human military remained alert but no longer prepared actively for war. Dr. Parker continued working with Malik and other Eldarians to learn about the many species of the galaxy. The knowledge they shared was overwhelming, thousands of years of history, science, and culture from dozens of civilizations. On the final day of the first round of talks, Officer Kyla Rogers found herself face to face with Nazrock in a quiet corner of the UN building. "I never properly introduced myself," she said, holding out her hand as humans did when meeting. "I'm Kyla Rogers, United Earth Defense Force." Nazrock hesitantly took her hand, copying the human greeting. "I am Nazrock, formerly of the Watching Fleet. Now, I don't know what I am." "You're a bridge between worlds," Kyla said, "like all of us here, the first to cross a gap that seemed too wide to cross." "Does it still seem too wide to you?" Nazrock asked. Kyla looked out the window at the New York skyline, where Eldarian ships now openly floated alongside human aircraft. "No," she said. "Not anymore." In the main chamber, Elder Voth and President Davis signed the first formal agreement between their peoples. It wasn't a full alliance yet. That would take more time. But it was a start. The elders had one law for dealing with humans. Elder Voth said as the ceremony concluded, "Don't confront them." That law was broken by accident. And now we see that perhaps it was not wisdom but fear that created that law. President Davis nodded. "And we humans have learned something too. We've always looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know we're not. And while we'll always defend ourselves if needed, we'd rather build bridges than walls." As the human and Eldarian leaders shook hands, news of the agreement spread across Earth and beyond. Humanity had entered a new age. The galaxy was larger, more complex, and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. And it had all started because one scared young Eldarian and one curious human had broken the rules and spoken to each other across the darkness of space.